The word synchronicity is slowly becoming mundane, and people are progressively using it with a clear understanding that it is energy at play without intellectual connections. Another assumption is that there are no mere coincidences. If the situations are event unfoldings struck a light and emotion, a surprise of some sorts, it has deep-rooted pure consciousness characteristics. It is not coincidence. The synchronicity I am about to present is highly meaningful and has deep healing connections, which I am still liking to remind myself of at times as I go through the motions of a deep, sad grieving process. It has to do with grieving, cremation, Buddhism, and Reiki, and the passing of my lovely young daughter. Her cremation became a meaningful event of its own for its synchronicity with higher realms. We were living in West Africa at that time, in a country where cremations are not allowed. I decided to bring my beautiful daughter's body to Europe and have a cremation there, possibly with Theravada Buddhist blessings. A longtime friend of mine, who happens to be my first husband of 35 years ago, offered himself to help out with this. He contacted a few temples and found a Vietnamese monk who was willing to do the ceremony. I refused since I had no practice of Vietnamese Buddhism and asked him please to find, if possible, a Theravada Buddhist monk. Very simply, for those who don't know, Theravada Buddhism is also called Ancient Buddhism and belongs to the school of Buddhism known as the Small Vehicle. It is mainly practiced in Southeast Asia and is recognizable with male monks wearing bright orange robe. It presents few different characteristics than the other Buddhist schools known as the Big Vehicle Mahayana, which is settled in the Himalayas and includes Tibetan Buddhism, Tantric practices, Chan, Taoism, Confucianism, and Zen schools amongst others. Funerals and cremations are the only official ceremonies presented in Buddhist sutras. In other words, other ceremonies such as marriages, blessings of houses, new job, new premises, and other events can be held by Buddhist monks, but are not official. It is the person's personal choice to do so, and people usually do so indeed. Cremations and funeral require additional vows taken by the monk, which mean additional practice and training. My friend's search was quite speedy and effective, and just the next day, he wrote that he found a monk and a temple officially authorized to conduct this type of ceremony, as well as officially recognized by the Belgian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the administration of capital city of Brussels. So far so good for authorizations. In other words, the monk and the temple are accredited to officially hold and officiate cremations at the city's crematorium. My reply to his email was simple. Let's do it. This has a purpose and a meaning. I arrived in Belgium on Tuesday 28 October 2014 and went straight to Wat Damaram Temple in the outskirts of the capital city. The temple looked like a typical house in this residential area, at least from the outside, just with a Buddhist flag waving its blue, orange, red and yellow colors in the late October wind. The sky granted us a beautiful blue sky and the temperature was pretty pleasant for end of October. Walking up the stairs to the entrance, I felt my heart beating under my chest like I was going to meet an angel. Having traveled in Asia since 1982, still living around Southeast Asia for 10 years now, and having practiced Buddhism since then, I still felt as a novice. Mainly I knew something terrible was about to be converted into something very etherical. I felt the energy of the place and the monk I was about to meet like a forceful quantum magnet. Yes, my heart was beating as though a survival kit had me on autopilot. Truly, I had not really slept since her passing a few days back, and less even so during the most terrible and uncomfortable flight I ever took in my life. Let it be, leave it, move on. The main room of the temple was empty. We slowly pushed the sliding door open and greeted the space with a soft greeting in Thai language. An aide of the monk entered, and like in many temples in Thailand, there always are few silhouettes entering and exiting from somewhere silently, and in this case from the next door kitchen. Eventually the monk walked in. We bowed our heads to the floor, thrice like practice dictates, when in front of a monk. Upon closing the entry door, the monk said to leave it a bit open to let that little pitch black kitten enter the room. His name is Happiness Long Life, he said, and it's his our latest arrival. I chuckled. Happiness is my daughter's second name, and she just loved cats like no other animal in the world would exist. Well, no, Naila loved all animal, but cats were her favorites. She even had told me 2 weeks before passing that, when she passes she wanted to be a cat. She was also very certain to have been a cat in many previous lives. This little black kitten was really a gift. I made me chuckle yet also drew some tears, though it was a sign Naila was amongst us. We let him walk in, and that little black ball lightly jumped to me, and then went and put itself to sleep on my friend's hands, which were in meditation pose on his lap, in lotus pose. This was already a beautiful welcome. Then came the purpose of our visit. Chatting with the monk in broken Thai and English, we conducted a short ceremony with a picture of Naila and a few silent moments when I cried my heart out. These moments were intense and was his whole attitude, and certainly his energy, that were just calming me. I was calm, perfectly calm, when in contact with his aura. We discussed a few logistical arrangements for the cremation itself, which was to be held the following Thursday at the main city's crematorium at 15:15. This time is in itself meaningful to me, as it is the time of her end of school day, end of class. No other choice of time could have been more appropriate. We also discussed the arrangements for a further ceremony to be held at this very temple, with the ashes the following Sunday. Indeed, every first Sunday of the month the temple holds a community day with a Thai market featuring food and items. The atmosphere was a bit refreshed and lighter. Certainly my heart was lighter, at least temporarily. We started to chat about my life in Thailand, his coming to Europe, and so forth. At some point, I tell him that while living in Thailand I had met a Usui Reiki master teacher who happened to be a former Korean Zen nun and currently a lady very involved in the Buddhist community in Thailand. A British citizen, married with a Thai man. Eventually I also tell him about the husband, whom I never met because of his passing away many years before I even met the lady. Yet I continue to explain about the couple's project to build a Theravada University and Meditation Center in the outskirts of the Thai capital city Bangkok, a project that really never saw light for some obscure reasons. I was about to go on, and this statement had me wobbling, and I felt as though I swallowed a big piece of sticky rice and got it fixed immobile in the back of my throat. With my right hand on my upper chest, I screamed, "What?" Not knowing whether I had to cry or laugh. I was at an energetic junction, stuck in between two pathways, whether exhilaration or total sadness, pain or joy. He continued, "Helen is a very nice lady. When you see her next, give her my blessings." I was in shock. The probability for this man to know this couple in Thailand was so thin that it really took me a while to eventually be able to breath without that illusionary piece of sticky rice in my throat. Moreover, to be there arranging the logistics for my daughter's cremation in Belgium, talking about this Reiki master, was truly something powerful. It took me a few hours to distill the event. Jet lag and lack of sleep, in addition to the emotions, probably were also carrying some heavy burden on the speed at which I could understand the meaning of this peculiar encounter. This man's energy had already been a healing wave for me. Every time I would be in his aura, I would be calm and serene. He would look at me in peace, and I would physically as well as etherically experience his energy levels and frequency reaching my deep cellular body and calm me down, settle me on a soothing vibrational level, eventually also making me smile, which in such circumstances is a total success. Walking out of Wat Thai Damaram, I was not in shock anymore, rather I was walking behind my own shoes, similarly to those days when in Bangkok, upon reaching Helen's house to take my Reiki master teacher's course. I was so energetic, my shoes would lead the path swiftly. Something was at play, some big, larger than me, inexplicable something was at play, and I had no clue what it was. I just knew I had left a Theravada temple in the outskirts of Brussels, sat in the car of my former husband of 35 years ago whom I had introduced to Thailand and Buddhism at that time, and that in 2 days' time, this monk would officially officiate my daughter's cremation in the same exact place where my father was cremated 24 years earlier in a very lonely ceremony. For me, this whole event was a huge wave of cosmic energy. Then I remembered a conversation I had with Helen one day back in 2009. As I finished telling her how my daughter was magically saved and avoided to hit her head on a cement block when falling off a pier on a Thailand island during the weekend, Helen simply responded, "It was not her time yet." Life plays up in many ways. We need to trust the cosmic events. We need to get the mind out of the way. Nile cremation started promptly at 15:15 wet time, Thursday, October 30th, 2014, with few family members and friends whom were asked not to wear any dark colors. Nieces, nephews and cousins of Nile were all wearing pink or light colors as requested. The monk's energy was filling up the room. And at some very special moment, the hard white neon light of the room turned pink. Probably only could see this. Nevertheless, when I received some pictures taken during the ceremony, the light indeed was pink. My daughter's was there showing them the way, greeting me. At the very same moment, in the capital city of Burkina Faso, Ouagadougou, a peaceful popular uprising was succeeding to kick out of the country the long-standing president, and becoming the first ever country in Africa to experience peaceful uprising to change 27 years of history. Burkina Faso also happens to be West African country where I first walked my steps just 1 week after the cremation of my own father in that same crematorium where my daughter was cremated. 1 year later from that event I was visiting Laos and fell in love with that country. I just feel there is a bag full of synchronicities here. The wheel of life is turning.